Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished guests, please may I request that you stand to receive and welcome Brenda Mtambo, who will lead us in singing the South African national anthem.
Honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. As we take our seats, please turn your attention to the screens for our opening video.
In 2018, President Cyril Ramaphosa launched the South Africa Investment Conference with a bold vision to position South Africa as a leading global destination for investment.
It gives me a great deal of pleasure to welcome all of you to South Africa. I'm also here to say that the government of the Republic of South Africa is making progress along the difficult but necessary path of reform that we have embarked on.
The goal was to secure investment pledges worth 1.2 trillion rand over 5 years. By the close of the investment cycle in 2023, South Africa had secured 1.56 trillion rand in investment pledges, exceeding the target by 26%. Many of projects pledged over that period have since been implemented. Building on this momentum, government has committed to a new investment cycle, culminating in the launch of the 6th South Africa Investment Conference in the Western Cape, Wolseley, where an ambitious expansion has become a working reality. Investment pledged through the mobilization drive helped turn vision into reality. Today, Lotus is alive with movement as production lines hum with precision. Lotus Bakeries shows what happens when global capital meets local opportunity. The products made here are more than output. They are livelihoods and stability. Jobs have been created, families are supported, and communities are benefiting from this investment.
My name is Dol Matheson. I am the Managing Director of Lotus Bakeries in South Africa. So Lotus Bakeries had been involved and have made a pledge in the last 3 investment conferences, and we have found it to be a very useful exercise because as part of our investments in South Africa, when any bottlenecks came up, we were able to use the investment program as a way of resolving those bottlenecks. It also gave us a huge amount of confidence that South Africa was open for business and had the infrastructure in place for foreign investment to succeed.
The Northern Cape is rich in sunlight, an advantage that has opened major opportunities in renewable energy. Scatec Solar shows how innovation can unlock natural potential and convert it into economic value. Power generated here has helped ease load shedding. This is more than an energy solution. It is a strategic investment in sustainability.
My name is Alberto Gambacorta and I'm the EVP and General Manager for Sub-Saharan Africa for Scatec. So the company is an integrated renewable energy solutions provider. We are headquartered in Oslo. We work prevalently in emerging markets, of which Sub-Sahara is one of the core focus markets in the company. We operate in different technologies: solar, wind, batteries, hybrid projects, and hydropower elsewhere in the world. The success story of the first hybrid project for the company in the continent, still the largest one in the continent, spanning about 1,200 football fields, about 10 kilometers from one side to the other. And if you were to run around it, it would be 42 kilometers, almost a marathon.
In KwaZulu-Natal, investment is also driving innovation in advanced manufacturing. Kerry Group operates at the intersection of technology, creativity, and global demand. Every product leaving the production line reflects precision and shows how investment in innovation can create long-term value. In Pretoria, in Gauteng, VM Automotive, owned by black industrialist Gibson Njenje, is another company that made its pledge in the initial investment mobilization drive. This company is fast gaining recognition as one of the leading automotive component suppliers to established global brands such as Mercedes-Benz.
Started the company in 2012. We started supplying Mercedes from here actually until the old series ran out, the W205. Now they're running to W206, but W205 we supplied mostly. So in 2019 we put in a bid for the contract of the W206 with Mercedes-Benz, and we went to our funders and told them this is what we're doing, and we would want you to support us.
In Limpopo, mining investment is laying the groundwork for long-term value and local development. Platreef, Ivan Plat's flagship project, is unlocking South Africa's mining potential through advanced techniques. This is not only about extraction, it is about creating value from the ground up.
Dr. Patricia Makesha, I am the Executive Chairperson of the Board of Ivan Place. So I look at the entire strategy. How do we implement the strategy of building the mine and affecting all the stakeholders, which is the communities, the government, and the shareholders. Ivan Place is in the heart of 20 villages in Mokopane, and all 20 communities are the shareholders of Ivan Place Company. Our contribution is mainly on skills development, enterprise and supply development, and socio-economic development. 26% of our shares belong to the local communities.
Manufacturing continues to turn raw materials into higher value products. PG Bison's plant in Mpumalanga continues to drive economic development through manufacturing and resource transformation. Raw materials are processed into high-value products that support construction and industry.
Gerard Victor, PG Bison, I'm the CEO of the company. So at the 2020 investment conference, PG Bison pledged to invest just under 2 billion rand in investments in Umkhondo. But none of this was possible without the DTIC and lately also Eskom that had to build a complete new power line that's feeding this factory. I must really say this shows a complete partnership that can deliver when we put our heads together and make sure we want to deliver projects in our country. Mr. President, I proudly stand here and I wish you all the best for the 2026 investment conference.
Our previous investment conferences laid the foundation for accelerating economic growth by building partnerships. Now is the time to see what it means to invest, partner, and prosper.
May I recognize Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa. May I recognize ministers and deputy ministers, directors generals of government administrative departments, premiers of all provinces, along with MECs, local and international investment partners, captains of industry, development finance institutions, members of the diplomatic corps, local and international media, colleagues from across the world, countrymen and compatriots, South Africans, all of you watching the proceedings online. It is my greatest pleasure to welcome all of you to the 6th South African Investment Conference, where we're bringing together capital and opportunity, leadership, and partnership. We all know why we're here today: to help South Africa grow, to remind you all that this is a nation future fit, dynamic, creative, innovative, a modern African economy, and one you can bet on. Throughout the day, we're going to tell you the story of South Africa, and we urge you to consider the catalytic reforms of the last 8 years as we urge you to invest, to partner, to prosper.
Thank you very much, Lerato. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is so good to see you. I feel and a little bit tempted to ask everyone to wave their checkbooks, but those times have gone. This conference stands as a clear demonstration of South Africa's commitment to building a globally competitive economy through collaboration between all of our key stakeholders: government, business, and of course you, our investment partners. As we heard in the opening video earlier on, this platform also carries with it a very, very impressive track record. Now, since 2018, we have mobilized more than 1.5 trillion in investment commitments. And I know the numbers, people like me often go, oh wow, Andile, that's just commitments. Actually, of the 1.5 trillion of commitments, 634 billion rands has already been implemented across the economy. I think that deserves a round of applause. So today, ladies and gentlemen, is not a starting point, it's a continuation. Yes, a new investment drive building on that foundation with greater scale, greater discipline, and greater ambition.
So there are many ways to describe South Africa: a country of diverse nations, intriguing landscapes,
commitments,
friendly people.
634 billion rand has already been implemented across the economy. I think that deserves a round of applause.
So let us give you some numbers. 20%. That's the return of investment.
So today, ladies and gentlemen, is not a starting point.
Markets,
it's a continuation. Yes, a new investment drive building on that foundation
96%.
with greater scale,
That's the energy
greater
availability
discipline,
on any
and
given
greater
day in
ambition.
South Africa because of the
So there are many
solid
ways to describe
interventions
South
made
Africa.
by Eskom. A country of diverse
3.5%.
nations, intriguing landscapes.
That's the average inflation
friendly
rate
people. Over the last year,
But we're not
aligned
here to
with South
recite
Africa's
poetry.
monetary policy,
We're here to focus on the
making
numbers.
this economy one of the lower
let us give you some
inflation
numbers.
terrains globally.
20%.
We've
That's
also
the
seen
return of
important
investment
investments
in
earmarked,
2025
buttressed by
through the
government
capital markets,
guarantees,
as reported by
to
the
refurbish
JSE last
ports,
year.
freight rail,
96%.
logistics, pipelines.
That's the energy
all of which will
availability on
unlock
any
capacity
given
of
day
up to
in South Africa
250 million
because of the
tons in
solid
export
interventions
capacity made by
And
Eskom.
last year,
10.5 million
That's the
international
average
visitors
inflation
came to our
rate
shores.
over the
That's
last
a
year,
17.6%
aligned with South
improvement
Africa's
on
monetary
travel numbers
policy
year to date,
making this
the
economy
final
one of
number
the lower
inflation terrains.
South Africa
globally.
ranks in the top 3
We've
global
also
production
seen important
sources
investments
for critical
earmarked,
minerals,
buttressed
and is
by
number
government
one
guarantees
in terms of
to
reserves in
refurbish
platinum
ports,
group metals,
freight rail,
and it's among the top
logistics,
tier for chromium,
pipelines,
manganese, vanadium,
all of which will
and
unlock
others.
capacity of up to
So as the world
250
reimagines
million
a future
tons in export capacity,
driven by AI
and last year,
data-backed economies,
10.4
we are confident
million international visitors
that South
came
Africa,
to our shores. On the basis
that
of these metrics,
17.6%
improvement on travel numbers
to integrate
year to
into
date,
global supply
the
chains,
final number,
and participate
top 3 in changing world markets.
South Africa
Indeed,
ranks
Lerato.
in the
And in
top
fact, in
3
today's
global
program, ladies and
production
gentlemen,
sources
that's what
for
we're going to be
critical
hearing
minerals,
about. We're going to be hearing
and
about a
is
very
number
clear
1 in
strategic
terms
focus
of
on
reserves in
digitization,
platinum group metals,
decarbonisation,
and it's among
and
the top tier
diversification.
for chromium,
These here in
manganese,
South Africa
vanadium, and
are not
others.
just abstract themes.
So as
These
the
are
world
very
reimagines a
investable
future
value chains that
driven
positions
by
our
AI
country in the global
data-backed
economy.
economies,
So today
we are
is
confident
ultimately about decisions.
that South Africa,
Decisions to
on the
allocate
basis
capital,
of these
to
metrics,
build long-term
stands poised
partnerships.
to integrate into global supply chains and participate in changing world markets. As we
Indeed,
get
Lerato.
into
And
the
in fact,
agenda
in
of the day,
today's program, ladies and gentlemen,
knowing that
that's
many
what we're
of
going
you
to be
have
hearing
traveled
about. We're
far
going to
and
be hearing
wide
about a very
to hear
clear
about the
strategic
opportunities in the
focus
country.
on
We also
digitization,
want to say that
decarbonisation,
an
and
enabling policy
diversification.
environment
These here in South
why
Africa
we have
are
started
not
to
just
see
abstract
catalytic
themes. These are
transformation.
very
And
investable
part of that
value chains
is as a
that
result
positions our
of the
country
fact that South
in the global
Africa, its
economy.
government is in its
So
7th
today is
administration,
ultimately
a
about
politically
decisions.
diverse
Decisions to
administration,
allocate capital,
collaborative
to build
and
long-term
collective in
partnerships.
pursuance
So
of these economic and investment objectives. We recognize that investment
As we get
propel
into the
growth,
agenda of the day,
and growth leads
knowing
to
that
jobs.
many of you have
And the
traveled
7th
far and wide
administration is
to
ready
hear
to
about the
deliver.
opportunities in the country.
So we also want to
without
say
further
that
ado, we'll be introducing
an enabling
you to
policy
the
environment
custodian of
is
this forum,
why we have
but
started
just a
to
few
see
housekeeping
catalytic
notes
transformation
on how we interact.
And part of that
Absolutely.
is as a
To get the
result
show on the road, thank
of
you,
the fact
Lerato.
that
There's
South
going to be a
Africa,
QR
its government
code
is in its
that will
7th
flash right
administration,
behind me, ladies and gentlemen.
a politically
Please
diverse
grab your
administration,
handsets and scan
collaborative
this QR
and
code.
collective
What
in
is behind this
pursuance
QR code
of
is
these
your friend
economic
for the
and
day.
investment
And
objectives.
Mr. President, the
We
President of the Republic
recognize
has
that
his phone out
investments
and
propel
he
growth,
is scanning the
and
QR
growth
code.
leads
I don't know
to
why
jobs.
you are not.
And the
So please
7th
scan the QR
administration
code.
is ready
In
to
there,
deliver.
you will find the
So,
program for the day.
without
You'll
further
find
ado,
a
we'll
couple
be
of
introducing
information
you to the
packages
custodian
that are there for
of
you,
this forum,
including the booklet
but just a
for
few
the program
housekeeping
today.
notes
How
on
it's going to
how
run,
we
as you'll see in the
interact
program,
as
we're going to be having an
panelists.
to get the show on the road. Thank you, Lerato. The Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition that will flash right behind me, ladies and gentlemen. Strategic context. Please grab your handsets. And he will then be followed by His Excellency. What is behind this QR code is your friend who will outline and the country's vision, and growth and investment, and he is scanning for reforms. In fact, they're not plans. I don't know why you are not. So please scan the QR code. Move into in there, a bit of a series of the program dialogues. There'll be a couple of panels of information, bringing together packages that are there for you, investors, the booklet, and for the program today as well. How it's going to run, and then in the afternoon, we're going to be anchored in we're going to be having an parallel commissions. These are the Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, rooms in level 2, where you'll be going in and out in different rooms for today's discussion. He will then be followed by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa, even who will outline all of this country's vision behind that QR code, growth and investment. And then, of course, we'll conclude the day with the signature announcement, actual reforms that all look forward to. How much have we will then this time around, and we'll close the day with a final word from President Cyril Ramaphosa before the gala dinner tonight.
A final word from tech-savvy President Cyril Ramaphosa. All right, let's remind you, we're here to invest, to partner, to prosper, and to really prepare for a future of decarbonisation, digitalisation, and diversification. But without further ado, let us introduce you to the minister who's really tasked with bringing this forum to life. This forum advances, I would say, the work that he and his team do on South Africa's industrial strategy, driving investment, supporting business growth, and strengthening this country's global competitiveness. So please, welcome warmly the Honourable Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, Mpho Parks Tau.
Thank you very much to the program directors, His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa, His Excellency Deputy President Paul Mashatile, Ministers and Deputy Ministers, Secretary General of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, Mr. Wamkele Nene, Premiers, MECs, and Executive Mayors, Ambassadors, High Commissioners, and members of the Diplomatic Corps, business leaders and investors from across the globe, members of the Fourth Estate, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the 6th South Africa Investment Conference. Our message today is clear. South Africa is open, South Africa is ready, and South Africa is an investment destination of choice. I would like to begin this morning with a reflection on the words of the President. And I quote, "Investments in South Africa are secure. Our business environment is stable. This is supported by policy certainty and regulatory safeguards that we have," close quote. We gather here today in a world that is, by any measure, more uncertain than it was when this conference series began back in 2018. The rules that once governed global trade are under pressure. The share of world trade governed by agreed multilateral rules has contracted. Major economies have turned inward, and South Africa, like every open, trade-dependent economy on the planet, has felt those currents. We have learned that complexity is not a reason for paralysis, but rather it is a prompt for action. When the status quo was appended in April 2025, many predicted a reckoning. The prognosis was steep. Tens of thousands of jobs in citrus, wine, and vehicle manufacturing in South Africa were said to be at risk. Economists estimated the tariff shock could shave off measurable points of growth. It was, in the parlance of the moment, a crisis. What happened instead? We sure are a nation that demonstrates resilience. Rather than wait for a restoration of the old order, we deepened our butterfly strategy, reorientating South Africa's trade promotion towards new high-growth markets across Africa, Asia, the Middle East, and Latin America. We activated the Export Support Desk to redirect affected exporters into alternative markets. We accelerated negotiations with China and Thailand on agricultural protocols, and in February this year, we signed the China-Africa Economic Partnership Agreement, or CAEPA as it's known, securing a pathway of duty-free access for South African exported products into a 3.5 trillion rand consumer market. Full zero tariff treatment for South African goods in China takes effect on the 1st of May 2026. What is evident is South Africa has indeed turned the corner. Ladies and gentlemen, consider the evolution of our trade partnerships over the past 3 years. With Europe, We did not simply manage an existing relationship, we remade it. The EU-South Africa Clean Trade and Investment Partnership, or CTIP, signed by President Ramaphosa and his European counterpart, President von der Leyen, in November 2025, is the first partnership of its kind anywhere in the world. South Africa is the first CTIP partner of the EU because of who we are and what we represent. The largest investment partner in sub-Saharan Africa, with bilateral trade flows of 860 billion rand in 2024, offering a stable, predictable, and profitable market and representing the most industrialized gateway to the African continent, and a lot more. The CTIP is now in active implementation. The inaugural business-to-government dialogue was convened here in Johannesburg just 3 weeks ago, drawing over 150 representatives from industry and government. The EU has mobilized a combined investment package of nearly 230 billion rand for South Africa under its Global Gateway Initiative, covering the just energy transition, critical raw materials, digital connectivity, and pharmaceutical value chains. This is demonstrative of the implementation of beneficiation at source of reindustrializing the South African economy. With Africa, the progress is structural and accelerating. South Africa is the continent's leading exporter of manufactured goods and its largest outward investor. The FCFTA, with 54 member countries and the potential to add more than 7 trillion rand in cumulative income to the continent by 2035, is moving from aspiration to implementation with us as partners. In the last 12 months, we have been to the DRC, Cameroon, Algeria, Egypt, Mozambique, Lesotho, and Ethiopia, to mention but a few. The work is already yielding results for South African industrial exports. Across the Middle East, new partnerships with the UAE, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia are advancing, supported by a coordinated effort between the Presidency, the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, and the DTIC to make inroads into high-growth markets that a decade ago barely featured in our trade portfolio. We have even forayed into new frontiers like ASEAN and pivoted to traditional partners in Mercosur. We have the foundation of a preferential trade agreement, the SAIC-Mercosur Preferential Trade Agreement, covering more than 1,000 tariff lines. We see this agreement as a platform with much greater potential than has been realized, and we are eager to work with our Brazilian partners to expand its product coverage and increase its utilization within the business community on both sides. The fruit of our efforts as exports into that region begin to cushion our economy from both the tariffs and the impact of the evolving conflict in the Middle East. Ladies and gentlemen, turning the corner on trade is one dimension of our story. The other is that we have demonstrated about our capacity to turn investment commitments into operational projects and real economic activity. When President Ramaphosa launched the investment conference platform in 2018, we set an ambition that many regarded as both aspirational and inspirational. 8 years on, the first 5-year investment mobilization drive exceeded its target. But figures do not tell the story the way projects do. Allow me to illustrate this with some examples. In Limpopo, as reflected in the video, the President opened the Plat Reef mine in Mokopane, a world-class critical minerals facility employing more than 2,000 workers from the local community with a share owned by a community trust. That project originated from a 2.8 billion rand pledge made at this conference. The mine is now operational, the jobs are real, the ownership by the community is a living fact. In Tshwane, BMW invested 4.2 billion rand in the electrification of its Roslyn plant, the only BMW manufacturing facility on the African continent. That commitment was made at this conference. Today, Roslyn is functioning as a facility for new energy vehicle production, anchoring South Africa's position in the global automotive transition. At this sixth conference, the pipeline continues in the same vein. Every announcement that will be made today has been vetted, signed by a company executive, and backed by board approval and confirmed funding. This conference has done something no preceding conference has. When announcements are presented to President Ramaphosa this afternoon, it will have been a result of convening of all of society, organized business and labor, civil society and government at different levels, all informed by our industrial policy, our export strategy, our macroeconomic outlook, and our diplomatic engagement and partnerships. That is what credible investment conferences look like. Ladies and gentlemen, the new investment cycle is the platform on which we declare our ambition for the next phase. Where we are going is organized around three interlocking pillars: diversification, decarbonization, and digitalization. The organizing principles of our industrial policy, each backed by concrete implementation. We are clear-eyed about the constraints that still impede investment, however. No credible conversation about investment can proceed without acknowledging this. Regulatory approval timelines remain a material barrier. In response, we have created a fusion center precisely to track these impediments, escalate them, and respond to and resolve them in real time. Beyond project-level facilitation, we're advancing structural remedies. The Omnibus Fast Track Act will enable streamlined licensing, fast-track visas for scarce skills, and digitized permits across multiple regulatory domains. Legislative and policy amendments are being progressed to remove the systemic blockages that no amount of case-by-case intervention can resolve. Ladies and gentlemen, the butterfly spreads its wings not because conditions are easy, but because we have, without the benefits of the typical stages of the genesis of a butterfly, built the capacity to leapfrog our economy to fly in turbulence. That capacity, the strategy, the partnerships, the pipeline, the institutions, and the people is what you see gathered in this room today. We're not asking you to take a leap of faith. We're inviting you to follow the evidence. Come and invest with us, come and partner with us, and together let us prosper. Dear guests, it is now my profound honor to invite the leader whose vision it was to initiate this conference series and who has moved it from ideation to real and impactful implementation. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa. I thank you.
Thank you. Let's be seated, please. Program directors, Lerato and Andile, who always, as you direct this investment conference, just lift its stature and make us all look forward to the discussions that will take place. Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, Shipokosha Paul Mashatile, Minister of Trade and Industry, Mpho Pakstau, ministers and deputy ministers who are here present, and they've come in their great numbers, and we thank them. The premiers of our 9 provinces are also here. The executive mayor of Johannesburg and other mayors of our various other metros are also here. MECs who assist premiers in the governance of our country in various provinces are here. Ambassadors and high commissioners, I extend our greetings, and I also extend my greetings to the Secretary General of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, Wanele Mene, all the way from Ghana, representing the AU in that part of the world where his offices are. Representatives from labor, civil society, and the various political parties that are representing our people in our parliament, traditional leaders who are here present, and community leaders, and guests and ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to South Africa, and particularly to Gauteng, to Johannesburg, the city of gold, our country's largest economic hub. 140 years ago, the discovery of gold beneath the soil of this place where we are holding this conference. What was set out in motion was an industrial boom that would shape South Africa's economic destiny. It had started somehow in Kimberley when diamonds were discovered, when one of those who looked at that shiny stone said, "It is on this stone that the future of South Africa will be built," and that was in 1867. In 1888, they moved further north and found gold in this place. Today, Gauteng is a financial and industrial powerhouse that contributes the largest share of our GDP as a nation. The city of Johannesburg is South Africa's financial capital and home to Johannesburg Stock Exchange, the largest and most advanced bourse on our continent. The story of Johannesburg, a city founded on the promise of opportunity, is a reflection of South Africa itself. They came here to mine gold. It was in some ways boom and bust. Boom for those who made it good, and bust for the majority of black people who were not given the opportunity to really benefit from that boom. We are a young nation, just 32 years old. The dawn of democracy in 1994 secured our freedom, freedom from exclusion, freedom from oppression, but it also unleashed our potential. It set out an irreversible path towards progress and a shared prosperity. Today, South Africa is the largest and the most industrialized, open, and diverse economy on the African continent. Our economy is dynamic, it's enterprising, and is finely calibrated for growth and power by innovation. We have an economy that has proven itself to be remarkably resilient. It weathered the transition from apartheid, better still, from colonialism to apartheid, to the global financial crises, the years of state capture that we went through, a debilitating energy crisis, and COVID-19 pandemic. Even amidst these strong headwinds, the South African economy has maintained core financial and institutional stability. This year's South Africa's investment conference takes place against a backdrop of growth as well as recovery. Investment conferences such as this are an opportunity for us to showcase the attractiveness of investment opportunities in our country to domestic and international investors. We are able to connect investors with local opportunities. We are also able to attract foreign direct investment. And these conferences help to facilitate strong partnerships by bringing together governments, business, banks, development finance, and finance institutions. But they also bring together people, ordinary people who are able to move from contact to contract and are able, even during their tea breaks or coffee break, are able to meet, to have a conversation, and to exchange cards, and to talk about each other's businesses. But there are also soft moments, even in conferences like this. I had, and I digress for a minute, I had to get information of what happened during the second investment conference. There was a fellow called Albert who came from Europe and came to South Africa. He was attending this conference and he met someone else. They were having coffee. And this lady happened to drop something on the floor. And Albert, the quintessential gentleman, immediately went down and picked up the little lipstick that she had dropped. And he gave the lipstick back to her. And they later tell me that handing over the lipstick immediately got their eyes to lock. But the story doesn't end there. It's a beautiful story. Those who know me know that I like color. So they say their eyes locked, and they had wanted to talk about their businesses. They're both serious business people. The lady was here in South Africa running a business, a big executive in a business, and Albert came from one of the European countries, and the lipstick got them to talk. They went and sat in a corner. Instead of talking about business, they were looking into each other's eyes. And later, seriously, 4 years later, just last year, they sought to meet me and they said, Mr. President, we met at your second investment conference, and now she is pregnant. and we got married without your permission. We're going to have this child. We want to name this child after your investment conference. Can we can we call her Investment? And I said, of course. So these conferences, they are quite amazing. Use them to good effect. So I'm not suggesting that you should start looking out for a lipstick that has fallen. Be serious at the conference, but if the occasion occurs where a lipstick has fallen, don't look away, pick it up. Under the Government of National Unity, which we formed after the 2024 elections, we have recorded 4 consecutive quarters of growth into early 2026, and our economy is creating more jobs. Inflation, as we heard, is stable and is converging towards our 3% target. Our sovereign rating has been upgraded, and last year we were removed from the Financial Action Task Force, grey list. Last year, South Africa hosted the first summit of the G20 on African soil. I guess because of the success that we achieved, we overachieved and are now being punished. But that's fine. Our G20 presidency elevated South Africa's global profile and deepened bilateral relationships that are today reflected in investment commitments from 15 source markets across the 5 continents. We are meeting at a time of uncertainty for the global economy. Geopolitical fragmentation, supply chain disruptions from conflicts and wars and trade tensions are radically impacting global capital flows. In such conditions, South Africa presents what I would call a favorable proposition as a resilient, credible, and reform-oriented investment destination with strong fundamentals. Your presence here as business people and investors and bankers today signals that as investors, you see what we see: real and enduring potential, long-term value, and untapped opportunity. Today we have with us more than 1,200 delegates from more than 50 countries around the world who believe in South Africa's potential and see this as a favorable place to invest and to do business. You are here because you want to be part of our growth story. Between 2018 and 2023, having set a target of attracting 1.2 trillion rand in investments, we attracted 1.5 trillion in credible, verifiable investment commitments in energy, in telecommunications, in infrastructure, property, mining, advanced manufacturing, and across a range of other sectors. This proved that South Africa is an investable market. But more importantly, it also showed that South Africa is ready to do business. Our investment strategy is anchored in sectors that will drive growth and create jobs at scale, including manufacturing, mining, beneficiation, digital infrastructure, agriculture, and the green industrialization sector. Now, this 6th South African Investment Conference is being convened under the 3Ds framework that we've crafted to label our investment drive, which is namely Decarbonisation, Digitisation, and Diversification. These 3Ds talk to the direction we want our investment drive to take place. With the ease of doing business being a cross-cutting theme, we know that as investors, you tend to reward execution and not just commitment, and not just talk. You are here because you value ambition, and you value a clear vision. As investors, you are looking to investment destinations that have strong fundamentals, that are resilient, credible, and reform-oriented. And the South African economy meets this criteria. Now, this 6th South African Investment Conference stands at the crossroads of opportunity and ambition, ready to turn pledges into projects on the ground. The shift in our economic trajectory that we are witnessing now is the result of deliberate, sustained structural reform that we have embarked upon as a government. And to do this, we set up a facility, a structure that we call Operation Vulindlela, meaning to open the way in isiZulu, one of our 12 languages. And it is a joint initiative of the Presidency, the National Treasury, bringing together all the other key departments in our government, helping us to get rid of the silo mentality that often prevails in government. And this has enabled us to implement far-reaching economic reforms for rapid growth. Its mandate is simple: to reduce the cost and the risk of investing in South Africa, not through speeches like what I am doing now, but through measurable implementation. So if you like, you can just discard what I am saying now and focus on whether we are implementing what we say or not. The twin pillars of structural reform and policy responsiveness have enabled us to bring about far-reaching changes that are supporting our improved economic performance. And a key priority for Operation Vulindlela from the onset was the crucial building block of solving our visa challenges. And this came about because a number of business people, both internal